Am I the asshole for refusing to recover at home after surgery? I, 29F, am really disappointed with my husband, 30mm, and furious at his mother, hag-aged F. Sorry, this is so long. And throwaway for privacy. For context, my husband is from the West Coast, where his mother still lives. He moved to the East Coast for college, and that's where we met after graduation. In the start of our relationship, she would visit 3 and 4 times a year and make him take PTO so he could entertain her throughout her visit. After 2 years of this, while we were still dating, I asked him how we are ever meant to go on a vacation together if his PTO is spent at home with his visiting mother. We agreed to save PTO for a trip to Europe we took in 2023, and he agreed to tell his mother he couldn't take off from work every time she visited. In my last job, I was able to work from home 4 days a week, and every time she visited, she sulked all day like a puppy who's had her toys taken away. But once my husband came home, a switch flicked and she was happy and clingy again. So here's the issue now. Husband and I moved states about 6 months ago, closer to my family. I have a new doctor who recommended me for a surgery that my old doc kept putting off. It's not a complicated procedure, and it will greatly increase my quality of life for decades. My mother-in-law decided she's due for a visit and wants to explore our new town, and she'd come to help around the house while OP recovers. I'm going to be out of surgery and in pain, and I really don't want to put up with her energy. However, we agreed, with my husband saying this isn't a sightseeing visit. She's here to help out cook, clean, laundry, etc., so I can rest and recover. She can come for a proper visit later in the year. My husband dropped me off at the hospital on Wednesday. It was meant to be surgery, then one night overnight at the hospital for observations. On Thursday, the doctor told me my labs were not where he'd like them to be, and I should stay another night for observation and new lab work in the morning. I called my husband and told him that I'd hopefully be home the next day over the phone early afternoon. He did not visit on Thursday at all. On Friday, I was discharged and called my husband to tell him that I'd be ready in about an hour. It went straight to voicemail, and I figured he's probably in a meeting, and I'll try again in a little bit. After calling a few times over the course of over an hour, I called my sister, who was lucky enough to be excused from work for the afternoon. Many thanks to her understanding boss. She drove 90 minutes to get me and took me home, and the house was in shambles. Laundry baskets on the dining room table, the litter box not cleaned since Wednesday morning, days of dirty plates in the sink, etc. I just broke down crying. She packed me a bag and took me to her apartment to recover for 2 weeks. On Friday night, my husband called me asking me where I am and that the hospital said I was already discharged. He had been on a hike with his mother and there was no cell phone service, so he missed my calls, which also meant he took PTO for his mom's visit again. Obviously, I can't ban him from taking PTO, but wouldn't you rather spend that freed up time with your wife at the hospital instead of on a date with your mom? I told him that I no longer feel comfortable recovering in our house, and I won't be returning until it's thoroughly cleaned and his mother is gone. He's calling me the AH because his mother just wanted to get to know our new area and I wasn't able to leave the hospital anyway, and that I was making a big deal out of this. I yelled that he essentially abandoned me at the hospital and entertained someone whose being here was to help make recovery easier, not more stressful, and that she was here for support, not on a vacation. Maybe it's just the pain and pain meds, but am I in the wrong here? Is this a stupid hill to die on? There's a part of me telling me to see a divorce lawyer, just to see what my options are because I'm not sure this will ever change. I know this is going to sound incredibly selfish, but I want kids, but I now don't see myself having any with my husband in the foreseeable future. And if this isn't going to work out, I don't want to spend the next 5 years of wasting time and money on therapy and missing a chance to find someone I actually can start a family with, someone who can be a committed father and husband before he's a son. Many thanks to anyone who's read all of this. Edit. Thank you, everyone. I stepped away for a while and came back to a lot of support. I think it's time to put my big girl pants on, unfortunately. Am I the asshole for wanting to divorce my husband after demanding to be on the deed of the house my parents bought only 5 months ago? I, 33F, have been married to my husband, 32M, since November 2023. My parents bought us a house using equity from their own home and paid cash for it 5 months ago. The title is in my mom's name and mine, and we're essentially paying them back for helping us out. They did this to give us a stable foundation for our family, especially for our son, who I will refer to as my son for privacy. Now, my husband is demanding to be added to the deed of the house, but I don't think that's fair. He has only been contributing minimally to the home and family finances. He's had multiple jobs over the last few months, and there were times I had to cover his share of rent when he was between jobs. I also ended up having to pay for all of the wedding and buy all the baby's things on my own, while he contributed very little. The problem is that my parents have made it clear that the equity in the house is not to be touched, as it is meant to be used to pay off the rest of their home. This is something I've agreed to and respected. But now my husband is insisting that unless he's added to the deed, he won't pay his portion of the house expenses. This feels manipulative to me, especially since he hasn't financially contributed in a meaningful way. I've tried to come up with solutions, like working together to build his credit and pay off his debts, so we can get a house in both our names in the future. But he wants ownership now, and it's putting a lot of strain on me emotionally, especially since I'm also going through cancer treatment and juggling my family's care. My parents have been a huge help, providing full-time daycare for our son, which has saved us a lot of money. I trust them to care for him, and they've been our backbone. My husband has only shown limited interest in helping, and his actions have made things harder for me. So, AITA for deciding to divorce him after demanding he be put on the deed when we've only been married for a few months, and he hasn't contributed financially. Am I the asshole? For bringing my neighbor's kid inside my house during a hailstorm. So we had a hailstorm with about 10 minutes notice. I went outside to pull the car into the middle parking space to try and avoid damage. While I was outside, the neighbors were leaving. I mentioned there was a hailstorm coming and they said they were just going to the store. Okay. Not what I'd do, but I didn't say anything. 2 minutes later they are gone and I'm covering my plants with a heavy tarp and going inside. Their kid was outside and couldn't get in. Neighbor's car nowhere in sight. I told him they said they were going to the store and asked if he could get inside. He said they'd be back fast. I went inside but took a peep out the peephole. I could see him running back and forth between the overhang by the front door and the carport area in the back. The storm immediately kicked up, so I opened the front door and yelled to him, "'Cause it was so loud to come in my house." He ran inside. And I told him, "These are my kids. You can sit here. Do you need a phone to call your mom?" He didn't know her number off the top of his head, and his device was smashed. I didn't know if it was from the hail or not. So I watched the peephole, and when his mom pulled up, I opened the door for a second for him to wave at her. The worst of it lasted about 10 minutes, so when it let up, I ran him out to his parents' car. My husband said I overreacted, but he was like 12 and running back and forth trying to find cover, which he couldn't find because the hail was going down and sideways. We had dead birds, messed up trees, and dents on our car hood. Some of the hail balls measured over 3 in diameter. Did I do the wrong thing by bringing this kid inside? I really don't know what else I could have done. And there wasn't any time to ask, "Do you feel safe coming inside?" Because he couldn't hear me, and the hail was coming in sideways, lots of wind. My kids saw how bad it was when I opened the door and said they thought that was the right thing to do. My husband was watching TV in the middle of the house and didn't see how severe it was, as he never even got up to check. Did I do the wrong thing by bringing him inside during the storm? Am I the asshole? For cutting my son with a brain tumor 25 mm out of my life? 3 years ago, my son was diagnosed with a grade 2 astrocytoma, a slow-growing brain tumor that can't be cured. Doctors said he probably won't live past his 30s. Since then, life has been a nightmare. He dropped out of college and moved back in with us and fell into a deep depression. We tried everything to help him: therapy, support, just being there, but nothing helped. He stopped going to appointments, stopped caring, barely left his room. Then, about a year ago, he suddenly seemed better. He got a job at a gas station, got a girlfriend, and moved in with her. But then he stopped returning our calls. We didn't know what was going on until my husband went to his job and was told he'd been fired months earlier for being high at work. We were shocked. He'd never touched drugs before. My husband went to his girlfriend's place. Our son answered the door clearly high, smelling of booze. We found out he'd been using fentanyl. His girlfriend was pregnant, also using. He had been stealing to support their habit. We begged him to get help. He shut us out. We cried more than I thought was possible. About 6 months ago, he OD'd and almost died. He was hospitalized for 3 days. He promised to get clean, moved back home, started rehab. We were so relieved. It didn't last long. 2 weeks later, we caught him trying to steal money from our home safe. He swore he wasn't using again, just broke. I was so heartbroken, I gave him a little money anyway. I couldn't stand to see him suffering. He kept asking for more. It became obvious he was using again. We confronted him and he left. Moved in with new friends. Yesterday we got a call from jail. He'd been caught trying to steal a car. I completely broke down and am utterly broken and filled with grief. My daughter is depressed. My husband cries every time I mention our son's name. I had to quit my job as I couldn't function anymore. Maybe the tumor is affecting his brain and behavior. Maybe it's the drugs. But I can't do it anymore. And I hate myself for saying this, but sometimes I wish he were just gone. The guilt of even thinking that is unbearable. But I'm at my limit. I told him not to contact us anymore. That it was better if he didn't. And yet I lie awake every night wondering if I've failed him completely. I don't even know what I'm asking by writing this. Maybe I just needed to write it all out and share it with strangers. AITA? Am I the asshole? For not letting my husband relight my daughter's birthday candles for my 3-year to blow out. I 32F have seen and read plenty of story where spoiled kids have blown out other kids' candles or thrown a fit when they're not allowed to. My husband 35M apparently has not. Friday was my daughter's 10th birthday. The day of I will make them the food of their choice and a small cake. The party is usually at a later date. After we ate, we got her cake ready, and my 3-year was very excited. I had explained to him all throughout the day that it was sister's birthday, not his, so he had to wait for the cake. We lit the candles, sang happy birthday, and she blew out the candles. This might be where I might have been the asshole. My husband grabbed the lighter and tried to relight them so the baby can blow them out too. I said no. It's daughter's birthday and I refuse to allow my son to be one of those spoiled kids that can't understand it's not their day. His face fell immediately. He said he was just trying to help and keep the baby happy. We dropped it there. He was kinda quiet the rest of the night. I didn't mean to come off harsh. I just didn't want my daughter to feel like she had to share her day or that it wasn't all about her. Am I the asshole? For telling my dad's wife that I won't ever call her my mom and she needs to back off. I 18F live with my dad and his wife. My mom died when I was 5. She was sick for a while and I don't really remember much about the end, but I do remember her when things were still normal. She was really gentle. She'd make up songs for stuff like brushing teeth and putting on socks. My dad didn't talk about her much after she died. He met his wife when I was 7 and they got married the next year. She was always nice enough. Bought me stuff. Took me places. But from the start she wanted to be mom and I never wanted that. I didn't hate her or anything, but I already had a mom and I didn't want another one. I told her that when I was 10 and she said I was breaking her heart. I still remember the look on her face. Since then we've just coexisted. She calls herself my mom in public and online. She signs birthday cards with mom. I've never corrected her to her face, but I also never call her that. It's always been tense under the surface, but we never really talked about it. Now that I'm 18, she's been trying to make a big push to reconnect before I move out. She keeps bringing up the idea of a fresh start and how she wants to be in my life long-term at my wedding someday. When I have kids, all of it. I told her I don't want to keep pretending. That she's not my mom and she never will be. That I'll always be polite, but I'm not going to fake a relationship that doesn't feel real. She cried. My dad didn't say anything at first, but later he told me I shouldn't have said that and that she's tried her best for years. That I was cruel and I should fix it. I don't know. I don't think I was cruel. I was honest. But maybe it didn't need to be said out loud. Am I the asshole? For refusing to meet my bio mother's husband and kids and saying no to any kind of relationship or contact with them. I 70M was raised by my dad. My bio mother wasn't ready or whatever and gave me to dad to raise at birth. She lived about an hour from us, so I saw her around, but she never talked to me. When I was little, I would try to wave or speak to her, and she didn't want to know. Eventually, I stopped seeing her as anything to me. Her parents were a different thing, and they had to be kept from me, because they tried taking me from my dad and tried to make bio, raise me even though she didn't want me. Dad did everything he could to shield me from that stuff. But I ended up speaking to different court people when I was 6, because of the fight my bio grandparents put up. Through all that, my dad was amazing. I guess sometime in the last 3 or 4 years, my bio mother has gotten married and she had kids with her husband. She reached out to Dad a few months ago and told him she wanted to see me. Dad talked to me and I didn't want to see her, so he told her no. But she got a lawyer involved, and Dad's lawyer and her lawyer were communicating, and she made the threat through her lawyer that she would sue for custody or visitation if Dad didn't comply with making me talk to her. I told Dad to agree. I didn't want to go to court. I didn't want a therapist getting involved. I have zero interest in a relationship with her, and I knew that would potentially be pushed for until I'm 18, so I agreed to meet with her, and it was awful. She told me about her husband and kids, and how she felt it would be good for me to meet them and have a relationship with them. I turned her down and said it would never happen. That was the end of us talking. But she's pressed Dad on it through the lawyers, and she's prepared to go to court and pay a shit ton of money for this to happen. I don't care if her kids are related to me through blood. I will die saying I am an only child, and they will never be siblings in my eyes. So I reached out and said if she pushed that, she would have to explain to her kids why their brother is so disinterested in them, and why he's never happy to see them, and makes no effort to be in their lives. I told her I'll be 18 sooner than she realizes, and she can't make me hang around, and I told her I don't care if her kids get hurt. I told her she'll be left to pick up the pieces with her husband. Her husband raged at Dad after everything happened. My bio mother backed down after I made the threat to not care about her kids' feelings. Her husband thinks badly of me for saying it. He's being an ass to Dad over it, and Dad blocked his number, but he has access to my bio's number. Dad doesn't block her because he likes being prepared for her dragging the lawyers into it. The whole thing's a mess, and I don't feel guilty about it because of this random guy or these random kids. I don't care about the kids being blood. I don't even care if she turns into a shit mother to them someday and they want to bond with me over it. We're not family, but I know Dad's dealing with the reaction to it, and I do feel bad about that. He doesn't say it bothers him, but he's finding it harder to keep what's going on from me. So I wanted to ask AITA? Am I the asshole? My sister did not attend my wedding, and now I am not going to attend hers. 15 years ago, my big sister, about 8 years older than me, got married. She asked that I early 20s male attend and walk her down the aisle, as we don't have a father figure in our life. I accepted and walked her down the aisle and hoped the best for her. A couple years later, things don't work out with her then husband, and they divorce. Fast forward to 4 years ago, and I got married. All of my family was invited, including my sister. My sister did not attend the wedding, even though it was less than an hour drive from where she lives. Her first excuse was that she didn't get an invite. When I called her out on that, her next excuse was that she was busy. We had never been super close, but I was really hurt at the time when she didn't show up. In hindsight, I'm not sure I can be surprised because she had not shown up for any big event in my life, and I've had a few. Come to present day, I'm mid-30s and she is early 40s. She just told me that she is getting married in a few months and wants me to come to the wedding. I'm going to decline the invitation. I will surely receive backlash from other family members, but I don't care anymore. AITA? Am I the asshole? For letting my daughter get the male design she wants. Context. My 33-15-year-old daughter has an obsession with clowns-like posters everywhere. Custom clown suits, horns, balloon animals. So many fucking balloon animals. The whole shebang. She lives with me primarily and goes to her mother's house every other weekend. Her mother, 36F, hates clowns. She's extremely religious and thinks that clowns are evil because of the media. She's been trying to change her interest even for a while now, and even asked me to stop her from buying more stuff, but it makes her happy, so why would I? Yesterday, my daughter went to go get her nails done, and obviously got a circus design. We're on a road trip at the moment, and her mother asked if she'd eaten yet, so she sent her a picture of her holding a McGriddle, and she could see the design of her nails. She's now cussing me out about us not being a united front, and how easy it is to just tell her no, but I still see no reason to, when she's happy and not hurting anyone, until the day she hurts someone, she can keep the clowns. Am I the asshole? If I stopped talking to my best friend of over 10 years after he and his wife went on a double date with my ex-wife and her affair partner. Back in 2023, I found out that my M44 wife, F43, had been exchanging hundreds of texts with a mutual male co-worker. For context, my wife Julie and I worked at the same small business that was owned by her family. After the discovery of the texts, I confronted her, and she admitted to the emotional affair and also said that she had been unhappy in our marriage for years. We had been married over 20 years, owned a house together, and have 2 now adult children together. The discovery of the emotional affair led to our divorce, sale of our Marshall home, and me immediately resigning from my position at the company, in which me, Julie, and her affair partner worked. Over the last year, I have worked to rebuild my life, finding a new job, moving into my own place, and now have a GF who I love. Getting to where I am at today, though, was not in any way easy, and this whole process was one of the most difficult things I have ever been through. My best friend Mike met when we worked together about 12 years ago, and we pretty much text or talk daily since. Over time, me, Julie, Mike, and his wife Ashley all became really good couple friends, and have even taken vacations together. Upon first finding out about the emotional affair, Mike and Ashley immediately took my side and supported me through everything. Over time, Ashley and Julie began to talk again, since they were friends too, and I really didn't have any feelings about this either way. I even know that Mike and Julie would still talk and text from time to time, which I also had no problem with. Yesterday, though, I was scrolling through Facebook and I see that Mike, Ashley, Julie, and the affair partner, now boyfriend, are all out at a comedy show together, and this just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I felt a sense of betrayal by my good friend Mike that he would be out on the town hanging with my ex-wife's affair partner. To add some additional context, Mike and Ashley recently also had their own affair. Partner issues when Mike discovered that on several occasions found out that Ashley was texting a male co-worker. They have since reconciled their marriage for the time being, but I honestly don't see it lasting once their kids get older. Whipped her if I began to cut Mike out of my life. TLDR, my best friend of over 10 years went out for a night on the town as a double date with my ex-wife, married 21 hours, and her affair partner to whom she is now dating. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who responded. I read through quite a few of the comments, and the majority on here think that I WMBTA for cutting him out. I also consulted some close married couple friends who know all parties involved, and they also agree that the right thing would be to say something to Mike. They also made a valid point that if I don't establish my boundaries now, how much further will this go, and the content inside of me will just continue to grow. I texted Mike and said that I felt a sense of betrayal from him and Ashley hanging out with Julie and the affair partner. He wrote back some generic response saying that I said it was okay for him to continue being friends with Julie, without acknowledging the affair partner also being involved. I know he is busy with church and Mother's Day stuff today, so I kind of expected a half-hearted response. For those of you commenting that Mike has no spine, you are correct. He bows down to his wife and allows her to walk all over him even after she was caught multiple times. Talking to the same guy before, if finally supposedly stopped, they are basically staying together for the kids at this point, and church is new to them as a way to try and repair their relationship and heal their family. For those of you saying my ex, Julie's affair was more than emotional affair, I don't believe it was. I had become suspicious of her phone activity a week or two prior to actually finding out. I found out by logging into the Verizon account and seeing that she had sent over 3K texts to his number within a couple weeks' time. If I not found out when I did, I suspect in the coming weeks it would have become physical. Finally, to the persons that thought I was AI for the way I replied to a response below, that's actually pretty funny. Am I the asshole? For how I joked about 2 women I matched with recently only wanting me after they had kids. For context, I'm a 35-year-old guy. In the last few weeks, I matched with 2 different women from my past. One I asked out when I was in college, and she rejected me, and another I asked out a few years later. She also rejected me. I didn't recognize the first one as she looks dramatically different over a decade later, but we got to talking and she seemed interested in meeting up. After a few days, she mentioned that she had a daughter and asked if that would be a problem. I don't want kids or to be a stepfather, so I told her it was a deal breaker. She was understanding, and we stopped talking. Then a few days later, I matched with the second woman. I recognized her and thought it might be a chance to make up for a past rejection. A few messages in, she mentioned she had a son and was recently divorced. She was less understanding and was really unkind in telling me what she thought of me for not wanting to date a woman with a child, and told me she's glad she turned me down years ago because I was a loser. Ouch. The reason I think I might be an asshole is that when I was hanging out with my family last night, I was mentioning these 2 women and I made a comment along the lines of, "Why the hell are these women waiting until they have a kid to be interested in dating me? Am I only attractive when I'm a potential stepdaddy?" My sister got upset, and I sort of see why. She has a kid from a previous relationship, and her fiancé has been a fantastic father figure for my nephew. Her son's father is a deadbeat and is rarely in his life, so her fiancé is more of a father to him than his biological one. She says I'm being a dickhead for accusing these women of trying to use me as a stepfather for their kids, but I don't think that's what is happening. I was just making a joke out of frustration at trying to date as a 35-year-old man who doesn't want kids or to date someone with them. AITAH here? Edit, I have since apologized. I forgot to mention that. Also, if you are here to claim that all women with kids are gold-digging and trying to use men as fallback plans, you suck. My sister and these women weren't doing that, and you're garbage if you think they were. My joke was made in poor taste, but I don't think for 1 second they were trying to use me. Am I the asshole for completely losing it when I found out my roommate's been filming OnlyFans content in our apartment without telling me? So I 25M share an apartment with my friend Jenna 23F. We've known each other for a few years and decided to move in together last year. At first, things were fine. We split rent, kept to ourselves, nothing weird. But recently things started getting odd. I'd walk into the living room and find her ring lights on for no reason, or see her heels and underwear just laying around in the kitchen. The bathroom would be locked for over an hour when I needed to get ready. And I'd hear loud music and weird noises late at night, but figured she was just having people over. Then a friend sends me a link to her OnlyFans page, and I couldn't believe what I saw. I'm literally in the background of one of her videos. Not like I was involved, but I walk by the living room in a t-shirt, just trying to get some breakfast. She didn't even blur my face or ask if it was okay. She just filmed me without telling me at all. I snapped. I confronted her, and she acted like I was insane for being upset. She told me I was being dramatic, that it's her body and her content and I shouldn't care. But this is our apartment. I didn't agree to being filmed or being in her OnlyFans content. I was just living my life like a normal person. AITAH for flipping out? Or am I overreacting? Am I the asshole for being weirded out and uncomfortable that my BF said he thinks it's valid to kill, torture, and abuse someone that cheated on him? Me and my BF were just talking about this matter, and he's super set on the fact that murder and torture is valid if you're doing it to someone who cheated on you. For reference, I've been cheated on, and all I did was cry, get hotter, and eventually move on. He's never been cheated on, and I feel like he's fantasizing murdering and torturing in his head, and passing it off by saying it's valid because they cheated. Like, am I wrong to think that's psychotic behavior? Like, that is so weird to me. I feel like murder is only valid when it's self-defense. Yes, cheating is wrong as fuck. I've been cheated on, and it was terrible, but at the end of the day, it didn't kill someone, and so you shouldn't either. AITAH for being extremely weirded out and uncomfy that my BF keeps going into detail about how he'd torture me if I cheated on him and pushing the narrative that it's valid. Am I the asshole for wanting to leave my wife after she gave birth to my child? My 34M wife, 32F, and I have been married for 7 years. After a miscarriage, she admitted to me that she had multiple affairs over the last 4 years of our marriage. Her last affair ended a year ago. She begged for us to go to therapy to work on our marriage, but I refused to go. During this time, I had moved out of the house. Occasionally, I would go back to take care of the house and animals, and she would constantly try to manipulate me into coming back. I had every intention of getting a divorce, but the process is slow. I hated the betrayal I felt, but I also missed my wife during the separation. One thing led to another, and we had sex, and she got pregnant again. Shortly after the news came, I had to leave for work, about 12 hours away from her. She would call to give me updates about the pregnancy and talk about our marriage. We were separated for majority of her pregnancy. I told her that I still wanted a divorce, but I would consider reconciling after the baby was born. After several months away from her, I came to the realization that I could not trust her, nor could I forgive her for her infidelity. I feel like the last 7 years of my life has been a lie. While I was away from her, I met someone and a relationship blossomed between us. I truly feel like I love this woman. She has been made aware that I am still married and that I have a baby on the way. My wife is not aware of my new girlfriend. Fast forward to a month ago, I had to go home for the birth of our baby boy. My wife has been pressuring me to reconcile, but I told her that I plan to divorce her again. After the birth of our baby boy, she has been blaming me for ruining our family because I don't want to stay with her and try to fix our marriage. I want to have a co-parenting relationship with my wife, but she is acting very erratic while I am here for our son. AITA for wanting to leave my wife. Any advice on how to deal with this is appreciated. Edit, thank you all for the mixed reviews. It was expected. I will be talking with a lawyer and will update once I have a chance to talk to one. Appreciate the sound advice as well.